What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Liberation Room. Today we're going to take a look at the MAC-10. There's recently been some changes with the MAC-10 that has changed the way I run it. Changing mainly one attachment that changes the game a little bit for the MAC-10. Because for a while the MAC-10 dropped down out of the meta, but it's come back to like that kind of mid-tier, which is where pretty much all the guns are heading to now is mid-tier. So we're just go ahead and take a look at this. So I'm going to do a couple of things that for people who don't run the MAC-10 much might want to know. So the first thing is when you choose the MAC-10 as your weapon, you want to pick a skin version. So whether that be the Sweet and Salty, Regal Sword, or Gallantry. I'll show you in a second why that is. It's all to do with the iron sights, because the ones that you can actually get through the skins has a way better iron sight. Gallantry was in the battle pass for last season, season 4 of Cold War, so you should have one of them if you are a battle pass kind of person. If not, you can make it work. It's just not as easy. So once you've got your Gallantry here, the first thing I do is get rid of the optic, because you don't really need it with the MAC-10, like I said, because it's going to be your close range option. If you're using it as a sniper support, that might change a little bit, but for the way I run it as a SMG, as a company to my AR, I don't usually run an optic on it. I'm also going to go ahead and clear out wire stock, clear out this, and we're going to change that in a second. Actually, we'll get to that in a sec. Bunch of changes. So, with the muzzle device, obviously you need to be suppressed in Warzone. That's a big deal, so we're going to go with the agency suppressor. As you can see, it's going to give us sound suppression, vertical recoil control, bullet velocity, and effective damage range. They did fix a while back where the sound suppressor is still viable, because it used to be where this is pretty much useless, but now it has its trade-off. This one gives you better damage range, while this one gives you better sprint to fire because it's lighter weight. But I still run the agency suppressor. I still feel like that's the better option. So for the barrel, I bounce between 2, maybe 3. 6.1 reinforced heavy is a good option. It's going to give you good effective damage range and bullet velocity. You can see right here where the range and damage is. So the other one I usually run is the Task Force. That's actually going to give you a little bit more... I'm sorry, a little bit less range, but what it gives you is more mobility. And unfortunately, with the way the game is now, it's a bunch of sweaty people, so you got to learn to catch up with the sweaties in order to do halfway decent. Or the Ranger. I bounce between that and the Ranger. Not as much lately with the nerfs that have been done, but reinforced heavy or Task Force, I'm usually running the Task Force. Like I said, optic, I keep optic empty, because like I said, those iron sights, I actually might be able to, you can kind of see it right there, how it's a very thin post. And if you give me 1 second, ignore that loadout, never run that in Warzone, that's just for something else I'm working on. Let's do preview weapon, and if I pull this sideways, you can see how thick, that reticle is, compared to this. Much more clean, much more thin. It's usually a little bit less than a person width in the ranges you're fighting with this at, which is perfect. For the magazine, I'm running the Stanag 53 round. Every now and again, I might run to the 43 round if I'm running a very large capacity AR. But usually I'm running the 53. Let's see. Let's go over to stock. So for the stock, I kind of bounce between Raider or SAS. You can see the difference is almost negligible between the SAS and Raider stock over here. But what I do like is how the Raider stock gives me a little bit more control. Where was that? See right here? It's going to give me a little bit more control. Mobility is staying the same. I do lose some accuracy with the Raider stock, which, with the change that's happened with the MAC-10, you might want to think about. So if accuracy isn't really your thing, you might want to run SAS with the changes that have happened. So here's the change that's happened. you know, typically you would jump over here to underbarrel and throw it on the field agent because that gives you vertical recoil and horizontal recoil control at the expense of movement speed and ADS movement speed. However, and this is what we knew for a long time, it was usually either this or a little bit of that. And I mean, if you're running this, if this is your run, then I would change this to Raider stock for that little bit more control, but the accuracy you're making up for with the field agent grip. I'll give you all a demo in a second of the difference in recoil. But if we get rid of that and go up to laser, we can start to kind of bounce through these and see which ones, see how much these are helping us. I've been running Ember Sighting Point. Ember Sighting Point, you can see how much it increases our damage and helps with our accuracy. Now, the accuracy, it gives you that buff. It's not that much of an increase. It's more so just because you're getting that hip fire. And you can bounce up through these. Tiger Team's another good option. Once again, if you're one of the slide, cancel, jump around types, Tiger Team might be your way to go. This one, not really. This one, not really. Not really. Not really. This one gives you a little bit more mobility, but not as much as Tiger Team. So these two I've been bouncing between. This one is if I'm being a little iffy and I feel like I'm good and I got a lot of movement. If I feel like my movement's good for the day, I might run that. Or I'm running the Ember Sighting Point. This is usually the one I'm running, though. It kills your sprint to fire and ADS a little bit, but the MAC-10's always been very snappy, so it's not a huge sacrifice. So we're going to go and jump into a plunder match, try to get away from all the chaos, and I'm going to break down these a little bit more for you. Alrighty. So, found ourselves a little area of solitude. I was going to say no we didn't, but yeah we did. So I'm going to show you guys kind of what we used to be looking at with the MAC-10 and what's changed. So this is the base MAC-10. This is just no attachments, raw. You can see that iron sight. That's pretty thick. And when you got a guy who's like out at that distance, maybe, yeah, about that distance,
repositioning,
you're going to start fully covering him and kind of losing that good sight picture. So we're just going to do from...
repositioning.
I'll do from 11 meters and just kind of see. This is with no recoil input, like control for me. That's 32 rounds. And that's kind of what we're looking at from 10. Back it up a little bit.
Moving.
We're sitting here at 20 now. And that's what we're looking at for the base MAC-10. So let's go ahead and switch classes here. Alright, so this is how the MAC-10 used to be made with the foregrip on it. So we're going to do the same thing again.
Moving.
10 meters back, no recoil control from me. That's what we're looking at. And again, that's with 53 rounds, so just kind of keep that in mind. We'll back up to 20 here. Hopefully. And again, this is 53, so that height is going to be a little bit more, but that's just... That's not even going off. That's all right. So... you can see how the grouping is way tighter, so that's what our our difference is. You see this was 32 rounds over that height, and this is 53 with that height. So it is way better than the base, obviously. So this is, like I said, the base. You can see our movement with this was all right. Actually, we'll do a little test here. Right there. Right there. That's our distance there, right? And this is our strafe. Aim down sight strafe. Now let's go ahead and jump into the change that we've made with using the Ember Sighting Point. So let's go ahead and change ourselves up. Oh, classy. So this is with the foregrip. So I'm here and I run. This is without the foregrip. A little bit better. The movements are better. I enjoy the movements more. Hip fire is going to be way better. So let's go ahead and... this wall's pretty sunny. This is the foregrip for hip fire. We're at about...
moving.
We're at about 5 meters. Alright. Switch over to the Ember sighting point, hip fire. You see it's a good bit tighter, and you know, in those situations, like when you're running through little buildings like this, you know, hip fire is a good thing to have. It's a good thing to run to when you're having a hard time, you know, aiming down sight that guy, he's moving fast, you can switch over to hip fire. So let's look at the negative. So obviously the negative with this, we've got the obviously the pattern for the foregrip. We're gonna do without now.
Repositioning.
We've actually been at about 11 meters every time. So we'll be at 11 right here. Here we go. No input. Pretty close to the same. It does even out pretty good over here with that with the foregrip. Toward the end of your magazine, you're actually almost hit scan, not really having to do much recoil control. Let's go ahead and get back here to about 20. 20 here. No recoil input for me. I think we got a good bit further over top than we did with these shots. Yeah, a little more spread out than we were here. So you are losing a little bit of that accuracy, right? But if you're a half-decent player at controlling your shots, you should be able to keep everything relatively close. Now, you can keep a tighter grouping with this. But like I said, if you're half-decent, you should be able to keep your shots pretty tight. But you are gaining a little bit more of that, you know, good mobility, the hip fire, with the ember sighting point. Not to mention gaining some damage range as well. So you got a guy who's like out here, you're going to be able to get a few more deadly shots on him than you are, you know, accurate. So again, it's not for everybody. However, if you're a halfway decent player at controlling recoil, I would recommend switching over to the ember sighting point. I feel it's a little bit better of an option. So yeah, playing a little bit of the Vanguard beta as well. There's a few guns that I feel are going to be pretty interesting in Warzone. I can't wait to see how they integrate everything. I'll have a whole nother video coming out about that. So stay tuned, subscribe if you're not,
Enemy soldier incoming.
we'll see you next time.